In the final fight, unfortunately, I just got word, I just refreshed my screen. It looks like we lost the ESP Brad Riddell fight. Unfortunately, that's a big blow. That was the co-main event. I thought that was going to be, the next best example for a potential fight of the night after the Song Kenan and Max Griffin. Unfortunately, uh, let's get right into sadly, let's get right into the main event. Derek Brunson, Kevin Holland. Let's talk about these guys. I've been so high on Kevin Holland that he had 18,000 followers on Instagram when I originally started looking at him. I mean, it might even be in the 11. I can't even remember, but it's just, he's so exciting and fun to watch, right? Like if you're a guy that pays attention to the prelims, he's never changed. He's been that guy. So the talkative, the fun loving, just a fan's favorite, right? The guy enjoys talking. And it's funny because he's doing it in a way where the Diaz are almost different, right? Diaz do a lot of talking outside the octagon, before the octagon, that kind of thing. And they're very fun inside the octagon and very skilled. But the way that we're watching Kevin Holland do it, right? The way he beat Jacare Souza, who's a fighter I've loved. I watched Jacare in terms of jiu-jitsu fights. I've watched a lot of his grappling matches. And I fell in love with him, Maya, all those guys as they transitioned over. But that's crazy, right? If I'm Travis Lutter, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, baby, my boy just absolutely dismantled them. Because if you think back to the old school era UFC, Travis Lutter jiu-jitsu was a big deal, right? Travis Lutter was a very, very, very competitive UFC fighter. And it was his ground game that made him so good. Even think about the fight against, Anderson Silva, things like that. Those are all fights where back in the day, a pure ground fighter was still able to hold his own. And I think when you're looking at Kevin Holland and the way he's come to the table, it's incredible, right? I think he's fought every single fight like it's someone else's fight and still come out with the win. The way he knocked out Buckley in the third round for me was so nice because I thought that was such a good back and forth. And Buckley was really trying to get in there, but he just couldn't. And sooner or later, just right hand, as he got that bullet tattoo, right? Went right in there. And the Darren Stewart fight, right? That was so close. What a close fight that was. And he finally met his match when it came to the striking game. But at the same time, if maybe the fight went to the ground, who knows? Maybe Kevin Holland would have been able to be a bit more decisive in terms of the win. But scratch all that, because who cares when you go in and knock out Jacare Souza on the ground? I'll never forget it because it was in a moment where I remember yelling at the TV the moment he punched him, like, yo, he's out. And then it started coming out and he started getting up and he started filling him in the face and he just finished the fight. It was incredible. And I think that's a fight where, luck or not, it's for the diehards, it's going to stand as a fight that, oh my God, he just did that to Jacare, right? And whether Kevin Holland is so honest as a person where he's going to say things like, so much for me doing that because now I got to go fight 5 rounds. It's like, God damn, I can't believe I have to go fight 5 rounds. That's his biggest complaint going into the Derek Brunson fight. But he's ready for this. He's there's no other way for him to go. He's saying he wants to be the co-main event champion and only fight 3 rounds. But unfortunately, son, it's time. It's your time. And so embrace that shit. I hope the fight goes well in that sense. But Derek Brunson, right? If he doesn't get clipped early by someone who's very, very good and powerful, man, can he go. And he looks sloppy, but he's not. And that's the thing that kills me every time I watch him fight. I definitely remember betting on him with Edmen Shahbazyan because I thought that fight was just a little too much. But this is still, I think Kevin Holland's a top 10, middleweight in the UFC. Did I think Edmen Shahbazyan was at the time? I did not. That's the difference. The difference there is like we're going to see some real skill. We're going to see some real MMA fighting here. I think that's where the Edmen Shahbazyan fighters, unless they're coming in with some judo, world championship level background like a Ronda Rousey, who might be able to throw in some strikes and do her best with that. But this is different. I think Kevin Holland has the striking to go with his ground game out of that Travis Lutter camp. But at the same time, Derek Brunson's a good wrestler. Derek Brunson might have the choice to take this to the ground if he'd like to avoid that long standing point fighting at a distance that he's not so great at, because Derek Brunson's going to hope to use some of his own power to try and maybe weaken you and knock you out a little bit. And the moment this man sends his blood, he is just running at you like some kind of a video game, right? So that's where I'm most excited to see what he can do. But at the same time, I think the line's rectified itself. We're seeing a couple fights here, right? As the lines start to come out, they're really starting to figure themselves out. The Cheyanne was a big one. And I think this is another one. I think Derek Brunson, originally was such a big underdog. And now we're seeing that line really fix itself. And, now that Kevin Holland's sitting at a minus, I think the last time I saw was a minus 188 or something, maybe that's something for the bettors to actually consider, because before he was in that minus 200 range. And Derek Brunson, now at that plus one something, maybe he's not so attractive to some of the guys. Like, I love riding dogs, because maybe you were looking for that plus 200 or something like that. So from a bettor's perspective, who knows where your mind is going right now? But as a fighter and as a fight lover, I got to say, I'm really excited to see if Kevin Holland can withstand that first round, because if this goes 5 rounds, it's going to be fun to see these two guys go at it for 5 rounds. So I'm really hoping it does. I think Derek Brunson has the wrestling and the ability to kind of take it that way. It's going to be interesting to see if Kevin Holland has the cardio. He's been working his balls off with his new conditioning coach. So let's see how it all plays out. It's going to be such a fun card. I hope everybody enjoys it. Don't forget, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell, keep it locked. We got a bunch of MMA content coming at you, so stay tuned. And don't forget, Stipe Ngannou 2 next week. Peace.